Okay guys, welcome back. This viewer submitted his story. It's pretty long. So yeah, let's jump in. My experience in Thailand started a few years ago when I decided to head to the kingdom after the passing of my one true love. Once my love passed away, my life pretty much stopped for a couple of years or so, and I got myself into a bit of a rut. At this stage in my life, I was 40 years old, not a lot of excitement in my life, and fancied doing something different. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and add a little flair into my life. After doing some research on Thailand and armed with the info on what to do and what not to do, I decided to save a bit of money and chose Phuket as my destination. I originally was going to head to Pattaya, but I thought I'd try a different place first just to get my feet wet. Don't get me wrong, Pattaya looked like a single man's paradise, but as a first timer and being solo, I wanted to take it slow. It would only be a 2-week trip just to see what it's like and see if I actually liked it or not, or if I was just going through some midlife crisis with all these travelling ideas. Without saying what my actual job is in my home country, let's just say I am in the justice system and I work closely with criminals from all walks of life. After doing this job for many years, I thought nothing could get through my defences, especially all the scams you hear that can happen in Thailand. My job has also sent me to some rough countries to work with people there. So, although I am not new to travel, so to speak, my trip to Thailand would be my first solo trip and first trip for pleasure, not for work. Everything was sorted and packed, and it was now time for me to head to Thailand for a much needed break from my life. On arrival in Phuket, I was pretty much gobsmacked. All the videos and stories about this place does it no justice. It seemed like a beautiful place with nice beaches. It could be a relaxing holiday for some people, but I was not there for that type of holiday. Bangla Road is one of them places that you have to see to believe, with beautiful girls everywhere and hammered tourists. It's absolute carnage. Anyway, on my first night there, I was eager to get out and experience the nightlife. I found a bar that was close to my hotel. I wanted a bar that could be classed as my local, like have a couple of beers there at the start of every night that I would venture out. The bar was nice and the people there were friendly, and let's just say, the bar girls were very sweet towards me. The bar had quite a few girls in there as well, but as I wanted to make it my starting bar, I decided against ever bar finding a girl from there, so it would not be awkward if I keep returning. That was the idea I had in my head anyway, but like most men in Thailand, we do not do much thinking with our big head, and I failed my plan close to the end of my trip. I just couldn't resist the beauty of some of these ladies. Every time that I went into that bar, I would sit and talk to this tanned goddess. Sometimes at the end of the night, I would even finish in her bar with her. And sometimes when I would go out, I wouldn't even make it past the first bar. I would just sit with her, talking to her about anything and everything. And 3 nights before the end of my trip, I bar found her. We had a night of drinking and bar hopping, and then we headed back to my hotel. The morning after, we went out for breakfast. She was telling me how much she's enjoyed her time with me at the bar and how much she likes me. Don't get me wrong, she was a beauty, but I did not like her any more than a friend or a fling. I was not exactly looking to be dating anyone. I went to Thailand for one reason, and that was to have a bit of fun. She asked me if I planned on coming back anytime soon, and I replied I should be back in around 6 months. However, on my last night in Phuket, that is when things got a bit messy. As it was my last night of my 2-week millionaire holiday, I still had quite a few bad notes left, so I hit the drinks a bit too hard. I got extremely drunk, and like usual, I decided to finish my night in my local bar, in hopes of seeing the girl one last time before heading home. When I got to the bar, to my disappointment, she was already sat drinking with a customer. Her friends at the bar knew about me and did their best to usher me away to a seat where I couldn't see her, but it was too late. I was not bothered anyway. I was not in love or anything like that, just wanted some bedroom fun before I departed. Shortly after I ordered my beer, this other young cute bar girl came and sat next to me. I had not seen her in the bar before, so at the time, I was guessing she was new. And as she sat with me, I'm also guessing that she did not know about girl number 1. I kept glancing over at the other bar girls, and they was giving me dagger eyes, like I was in the wrong for talking to a different girl. After a few drinks and a couple of lady drinks, I asked the new girl if I could bar find her and we go back to my hotel. It was my last night after all, and I wanted to end it on a bang. She happily accepted and went to get her things for us to leave. I noticed that girl number 1 was sat alone now, so her customer must have left. But now, I have already bar found girl number 2. Talk about a bad situation to be in. Once girl number 2 came back, we started to head out until girl number 1 started with a barrage of abuse towards the new girl. She went crazy, shouting while pointing her finger at us. I don't know what she said at the time, but could tell by her attitude that it was not very nice. So much for a sweet and innocent girl that I thought she was. Girl number 2, the one that I just bar fined, looked a bit shaken up, but confused more than anything. I asked her if she was okay and still wanted to come back with me. I gave her the choice and told her she can leave if she wants. Fortunately for me, she still wanted to come back to my hotel. We got back to the hotel and had our bedroom fun. Seems nothing was getting in the way of that. After, I asked her what girl number 1 said during her outburst. She replied that she was calling me a bad man and that she should not go with other girls' customers. Which I do understand that girls should stay away from each other's customers. It makes sense. But she already had a customer when I arrived. What am I meant to do? Sit and hope that her customer leaves? Maybe I was wrong for bar finding a girl at the same bar. Ah well, my trip was fun and I couldn't wait to return. I was only in Thailand for 2 weeks, but I really fell in love with the place. Just the relaxed way of life there, something I was not used to. There was a bit of everything where I was. If I was in the mood to relax, I could just walk to the beach, and if I was in the mood to party, I could just walk to Bangla Road. Once I got home, I wanted to go back as soon as I could, and I wanted to interact with more Thai people, so I took some Thai speaking classes online. It turns out I picked it up pretty fast and easy. Though I am nowhere near fluent, just basic Thai and a few phrases to help me get by. 6 months came and went, and it was time for me to get back to Phuket and carry on where I left off. I booked the same hotel and headed to the same local bar, with hopes that the dust had settled after all this time. Girl number 1 was there, and she apologised with the way she acted. She said she really liked me, and she was just jealous to see me go with another girl. I explained to her that I am strictly here on holiday. I don't plan on getting attached to anyone. I want to be a butterfly and spread my wings. A side note to the listeners, bar girls call foreigners butterflies when they go from girl to girl, basically what we call a player. I also made it clear that I did not want to bar fine her, or anyone in that bar, because I like it there and I don't want things to be awkward like last time. She seemed okay with that, and we had a few drinks together that night, but that was it. I did ask about girl number 2, as I did not see her. Apparently, she left for another bar because there was too much tension in that bar and it seemed nobody really liked her. It seems like all these girls in that particular bar were either close friends or family, and they all came from the same province. Anyway, that's about as exciting as my first night back was. I had a few more drinks with her and then headed back to my hotel for an early night alone. The second night is where everything changed for me. I discovered go-go bars. How the hell did I miss these bars on my first trip? On my first trip, I thought they were all nightclubs, as that's what they look like from the outside, and my clubbing days are over, so I always gave them a miss. I don't know what made me go into one, but I was hooked instantly, and when I noticed this particular girl on stage, I was even more hooked. My heart was pounding. She was perfect. I tipped her while she danced on the stage, and when she finished her time on stage, she came and sat next to me, well, practically on my lap. I was buying the lady drinks, and I was loving it. It looked like she was having a lot of fun as well. All the warning signs, horror stories, and advice went straight out of the window. We sat and drank, and every now and again, she would go up on the stage to do her show, looking at me while performing, and then she would come back and sit with me to carry on our drinking session. She spoke really good English, surprisingly, and I attempted to impress her with my very little knowledge of Thai. Every time she spoke to the staff or the other girls, I understood enough Thai to notice that she was switching between Thai and another language, or so I thought. I asked her about this, and she said she was speaking Isan, which is a kind of slang from Thailand. Once you learn enough Thai, you will notice that a lot of these girls speak the Isan slang in the bars. I was trying to learn both Thai and Isan at the same time, and when I would come out with it or reply to girls in the bar, they seemed to be very impressed that I could understand a lot of it. But again, I was nowhere near fluent or even close to it, just enough to get by and win me some compliments. Anyhow, back to my new go-go girl. Her name was Apple. Obviously not her real name, but that was her English nickname. She was from a place called Khon Kaen, which is in Isan, and she had a very unique look about her, different and darker from your average Thai girl. She was pure beautiful. Girl number 1 from my local bar was a beauty, but nothing compared to this girl. After a good night drinking with her and having fun with her, I ended up bar finding her. On the way back to the hotel, we passed my local bar. I was hoping girl number 1 didn't see me, in case she acted up like last time. Luckily, the coast was clear, but her friend saw me and gave me some shady looks. That night, we had a lot of fun at my hotel, and she clearly was not shy. The next day, I gave her some money and told her I'll come back to the go-go bar again soon. That night, I went to my local as per usual to start the night. I ordered a beer and sat down, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw girl number 1 storming over to me. She went crazy at me again. It was so weird. She was acting like I am her boyfriend that just cheated on her. The staff and the customers in the bar were staring at us. It was such a cringy moment. I explained again that I am on holiday and enjoying myself. We are not in a relationship, so stop acting like this. She kept saying random stuff while kicking me. She said, "I love you," but all the other words just came out randomly. It then clicked on me that this girl wasn't crazy, she was just high on something. In my line of work, you soon learn to pick up when someone has taken something, and this girl clearly was off her head. I obviously could not fight back with a Thai woman, or even restrain her, as the customers will think I'm just a violent foreigner and probably try to attack me. Instead, I just put my money in the bill pot and left quickly. Needless to say, I never went back to that bar again, and I feel sorry for any customer that comes in contact with her in the future. After that weird encounter, I headed straight to the go-go bar again to see my Isan beauty, Apple. We had another great night like the previous night, drinking, watching her dance, and having fun. That night, I bar-fined her again, and did so for the next week and a half. During this time, she was teaching me Thai, and I was improving every day at a great rate. It's amazing how much you can pick up if you actually keep at it. I had a fantastic trip with Apple and enjoyed every moment with her. She even introduced me to some of her friends and some of her cousins that were in Phuket. I was also invited to parties with her where I was the only foreigner there, and they would find it really cute that I was trying to interact with them in Thai. Needless to say, at all of these gatherings, I was the walking ATM and paid for most of the drinks and the food. But I guess that's just normal. I'm the guest and I'm a Westerner, so in their eyes, I'm automatically rich. But I did not mind paying, I had a great time, and spoiler, I'm not rich. I also met a Swedish guy while I was in Phuket. He had a few businesses in Thailand and was pretty well known in the area. After getting to know him more, he shared a business idea with me and asked me if I would like to invest, to which I did. However, I made it clear to him my occupation in working in the justice system and told him that if he tries to scam me, I will come looking for him. The business actually turned out good. I don't want to say what it is on here. It wasn't a bar or anything like that, but by 6 months, I started to receive money back and it seems to be on the up and up. Anyway, back to the girl. The day before I left, I was spending the day shopping with Apple and I bought her a 3,000 baht bracelet. Nothing special, but just a little gift. She had spent many days with me, so I wanted to show my appreciation with just a little gift. I told her not to sell it. To me, buying her this bracelet was just a little test to see if she still had it when I returned. While saying our goodbyes, she said to me, "You go with no one else but me when you come back." That was perfectly fine for me, as she is the one that I wanted. I couldn't exactly say it to her considering her line of work, so I just agreed. Time to go back home for another 6 months until I can come back to Apple again. While I was at home, me and Apple spoke on the phone every now and again, but with the time difference, our work and everything else, it was pretty difficult to communicate. However, we did actually say that we loved each other. I worked pretty much every day until I could return to Phuket once again. And in 6 months, I was heading back there. I should note, the time that I was home, I never sent Apple a single penny, nor did she ask me to. I got back to Phuket, checked in, and within an hour, I was heading back to the go-go bar again. There she was, stood on stage, perfect as ever, still wearing the bracelet that I purchased for her. The cashier at the go-go bar, who I became pretty good friends with, told me that Apple never took her bracelet off and rarely went with any customers. Now, I know that was probably a lie, because why else would she be working in such a job if she did not want to go with customers to make money? But maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe Apple was actually waiting for me. Although I have probably broken every bar girl rule in the book, my life couldn't have been any better. I was truly having the time of my life. Me and Apple picked up where we left off, with house parties with her friends and daily outings. I was still the walking ATM, but this time only for Apple, not the whole group of friends. The more time I spent with Apple meeting people, the more my name got around. It was like every bar we went to, the staff and the girls would know who Apple is, and that way they started knowing who I was. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it did do a lot for my ego. I would walk into bars and the mamasans would call me by my first name, claiming I am a good man and nothing bad will happen to me. Even the bar girls in a lot of the bars knew I was dating Apple, so they paid me no attention. Sure, they would smile and greet me, get me a drink and sometimes sit with me, but they knew not to flirt or to try and get lady drinks. This was fine with me, as I was totally addicted to Apple, so other girls did not really interest me now. I was more of a people watcher than a butterfly. One day, I was drinking in one of the bars that Apple introduced me to, where I get along with all the staff. A British man came into the bar, and everyone seemed to go quiet and keep their distance from him. It turns out that this man is very well known and sounds like a foul piece of work that looks for girls a little younger, if you understand what I mean. It wasn't like he tried to hide it either. It seemed everyone knew who he was. With my background, I really wanted to go to the police about him, but it's not my business, and the system works completely different in Thailand. Back to my sweet Apple. I asked her if she would like to come to my country with me just for 2 or 3 months. She was super excited about this and couldn't have accepted the offer fast enough. However, she told me that she did not have a passport, which I thought was a bit strange because some of her friends would travel to other Asian countries to work their profession. I assumed Apple did also, but I did not want to bring up her work, nor did I really need to know about it, so I never really asked her. With that said, I sent her to Bangkok and paid for her to apply for a passport. The plan was for me to come back to Thailand again in 6 months, and then after that trip, we would both go to my country for a couple of months. Me and Apple were pretty serious at this time, and I felt like I had the right to ask her not to work at the bar anymore. I know it was her job and way to make money, but it's pretty hard to be in a relationship with a woman that does that type of work, and I think most men would agree with me on that. I suggested her going back to her village in Isan until I returned back to Thailand. I gave her a nice chunk of money, not a huge amount, but enough to get by and enough to cover her wages for leaving the bar. I knew she would send money home from her job as she had a child that her mother takes care of. So I suggested to her to take the money I gave her and start a business. I thought that this would keep her family happy and keep Apple busy. This should also save me money in the long run. She agreed to this arrangement and promised to leave the bar once I left Phuket. I went back home and resumed my boring and dull working life, and as promised, Apple left the bar and headed back to her village. This time, we spoke pretty much every day, and things were going better than ever. Also, this time I did send her money, but it was towards the laundry business that she had started. She sent me pictures of the place she rented and the washing machines, so I had no reason not to believe her. I used to be a butterfly in Thailand, and now I'm loved up. What the hell happened? Work was pretty quiet for me this time round, and it gave me the chance to work on my Thai reading and writing a lot more. Yes, I was still at the level of a 6-year-old with my Thai speaking, but it was coming along nicely, and it's not exactly an easy language to learn. I knew enough to be able to read some basic text messages from Apple. This time, back to Phuket, I came with a few of my friends from work. One of them had been to Thailand many years ago, but the other 3 were complete newbies to the country. We stayed in the same hotel, and I was looking forward to having a fun time with them. Apple was still in her village and was not due back to Phuket for a couple more days, so I had a little break with my friends. I did the right thing and took them to the bars I knew and introduced them to the bar girls there, as I knew they was decent girls. I asked one of the girls, who was good friends with Apple, if she had been in Phuket since I left, and the girl confirmed that Apple left to her village about 2 days after I left Phuket. After a couple of days with my friends, showing them the ropes and hopefully pointing them on the right path, it was time for me to meet Apple. She shown up at my hotel and I fell in love all over again. I swear she looked even more stunning every time that we met. We did not go out that night. We had a lot of catching up to do, if you catch my drift. Thai New Year was coming up and Apple wanted to go back to her village and spend it with her family, as it's been a few years since she spent New Year with them. She did not ask if I wanted to join her, but as my friends were here in Phuket, I thought, what the hell, and said she could go. It will give me some more time to enjoy with my friends and see if they get bitten by the Thailand bug. We spent 2 more nights together, and everyone was telling me how happy Apple is with her new life and business in her village, and how much of a good man I am. Because Apple never asked me to come with her, I decided I would test her. I gave her some money and told her that it wasn't to spend, it was for investing into the business for more machines or equipment. I did not ask, but I told her that after the new year I would come to her village because I wanted to see the business and see how we could expand it. I kind of had in my mind that if we got married in the future and the business was making decent money, then her family wouldn't be hounding me to send them money. Apple left for her village that day and I went to catch up with my friends and had a night out. Just want to add that I stayed faithful to Apple both in Thailand and in my home country since the day I met her. Anyway, the day after Apple left, I called her to see how she was doing and if she was okay. The phone kept ringing and ringing with no answer, which wasn't normal for Apple. I thought to myself that maybe she is just busy with family, so decided to leave it a couple of hours and try again. All day, my text messages and phone calls went unanswered. Again, this was very strange. On to plan B. I went to the bar where Apple's good friend works and told her what was happening. Her friend tried to call and text the phone, but got the same result as me. Then it sunk in. I have been scammed. Now, if this type of thing happens to a foreigner, normally they accept that they've been scammed and they move on. However, I couldn't do that. Not only did I want my money back, but I wanted revenge on her for wasting over a year of my life. So with that kind of feeling, I took a lot of belongings to my friend's room to save and packed a small backpack of clothes and some other items, jumped on a bus and made my way to her village. The problem was, I did not really think this through. I had no plans on what I was going to do when I got there. And once I was there, I did not realise my Thai was actually that bad. Nobody understood me in this village and had no experience in dealing with foreigners. I eventually found a hotel and checked in for a week, thinking finding Apple might become a difficult task. For the next 3 days, I walked around as many streets as I could with a picture of Apple in hand, asking locals and damn near anyone if they knew this girl. I was having zero success. My next and only option was to go to the police. I would have done this first, but after hearing how corrupt the police are in Thailand from other foreigners, I decided against it. However, I was running out of options, so off I went to the police station to explain what was going on. Now, you hear a lot of stories about police in tourist areas, but in small little villages, they seem to do everything by the book. The policeman I spoke to was extremely professional and was quite a high rank, according to him. He put a lot of officers on finding Apple. Although I was very thankful, I kept thinking in the back of my mind, how much is this going to cost me? 2 days went by and the police did exactly what they said they was going to do. They found Apple. She was at a friend's house with a bunch of other Thai people and had been drinking and doing God knows what else for around 8 days straight, blowing most of the money that I had given her towards the business. She had a good life up until now and a bright future, but at that moment her life changed. People in the town now knew she was a bar girl that was scamming men in Phuket, and I was literally the talk of the town. The town talk was Farang chased the girl from Phuket because she had stole his money and scammed him. In the police station, when the police brought her in and she saw my face, you could see the regret just ooze from her eyes. The police made her pay whatever of the money she can back to me, so they took us to her house to collect it. Arriving at the house, you could see that she had used some of the money wisely for her family. I guess she's not a complete waste, right? While there, I also discovered that she had 2 more children that she never told me about. I managed to recover just a small fraction of the money and some jewellery that both I had given her and that she had purchased herself. After I left the house and travelled back with the police, I blocked her from everywhere and never seen her again, or heard from her again. As for the police, I wanted to repay them for their efforts, so they allowed me to take them out for lunch with lots of beer. It was actually pretty fun. I had 2 more days at the hotel, so I spent them unwinding and meeting actual nice Thai ladies and being friendly with the locals. So there you have it, a tale of some woe, but I really do love Thailand and the Thai people. In fact, I am so glad that I didn't just let this scam happen and I did something about it, or I would never have gone to Isan and found how Thai people are outside of the tourist zones. I love it up there that much that in a few months I will head back to Phuket to see my friends and then spend the rest of my trip exploring Isan and meeting more real, genuine Thais. Thank you all and keep thinking with your big head.